The observation deck of the Celestial Harmony hummed with the usual dinner-hour chatter, a symphony of clicks, whistles, and translated speech from 24 species gathered around crystalline tables. Zixthara, a Velcrine diplomat with iridescent scales and 3 compound eyes, had grown accustomed to the peculiarities of interstellar dining over her 15 cycles aboard the joint species vessel. But nothing had prepared her for what she was about to witness. Across the table sat Ramona Chen, the human xenobiologist who'd joined their expedition 3 rotations ago. The woman was unremarkable by human standards. Average height, dark hair pulled into a practical knot, work-worn hands that spoke of field research. She'd been pleasant enough company, though Zixthara found humans generally too enthusiastic about things that should inspire proper caution. Tonight's meal featured Krathen cave crawlers, a delicacy from Sector 9. The creatures arrived live, as was traditional, their segmented bodies writhing in specialized containment fields. Each was roughly the size of a human fist, with a chitinous exoskeleton that gleamed blue-black under the ambient lighting. The Velcrine watched as various crew members engaged in the elaborate preparation ritual, carefully removing the creature from stasis, extracting the choice meat from specific segments, discarding the rest according to the 70-step traditional method passed down through Krathen culture. It was a process that took skill and respect. One did not simply consume such a creature carelessly. Ramona studied the writhing specimen before her with scientific interest, tilting her head as she examined its anatomical structure. Then, to Zixthara's absolute horror, the human picked up the entire creature with her bare hands. "Wait!" Zixthara began, her translator struggling to keep pace with her alarm. Ramona smiled, that peculiar expression humans made when they were about to do something they found amusing. "It's all right," she said. "My grandpa taught me this trick." Before anyone could intervene, Ramona bit into the cave crawler. Not delicately, not surgically. She bit through the exoskeleton with her blunt human teeth, teeth that shouldn't have been able to breach such armor, and tore away a chunk of the creature whole. The sound was wet and crunching, organic and deeply unsettling. The observation deck fell silent. Every being within visual range turned to watch. Ramona continued eating. She consumed the creature's poison sacs, the very organs that required careful removal lest they contaminate the edible flesh. She ate through the filtering organs that processed the toxic minerals from the creature's cave environment. She crunched through segments that even the Krathen themselves discarded as inedible waste. Zixthara's scales shifted through several colors indicating distress, confusion, and a growing sense of existential dread. "Human Ramona," she managed, her voice barely above a whisper. You are eating the poison organs." Ramona paused mid-bite, a piece of exoskeleton jutting from the corner of her mouth. She chewed thoughtfully, swallowed, then grinned. "Yeah, I noticed they were a bit spicy. Good flavor, though." She took another bite. "My grandpa used to take me crawfish fishing back in Louisiana. He taught me you could eat the whole thing if you really wanted to. Head, tail, all of it. Said his grandpa learned it during the hard times and it was important to remember that humans didn't get to the top of the food chain by being picky." She crunched through another segment. "Of course, crawfish are different from these guys, but the principle's the same. You waste less this way." Carell, the Krathen cultural attaché, approached the table with tentacles quivering in what could only be described as shock. "But the neurotoxins," he burbled through his translation unit. "The cave crawlers bioaccumulate heavy metals, the acids in their digestive tract. The bacteria colonies in their filter organs are lethal to 97% of known species." Ramona shrugged, reaching for another crawler from the communal serving field. "Human stomachs are pretty aggressive. Strong acid, good immune system, excellent gut bacteria." She bit through the second creature's head with a decisive crunch. "Plus, we evolved eating carrion sometimes. Our bodies got really good at handling sketchy food. Zixthera felt her world tilting. She'd read the human files, of course. Every diplomat did when a new species joined the Galactic Council. She knew humans came from a death world, a classification that still made many species uncomfortable. She knew they were apex predators from a planet that had tried very hard to kill them for millions of years. But reading about it and watching it unfold before one's eyes were devastatingly different experiences. Your grandfather, Zixthera said slowly, trying to anchor herself in understanding, taught you to consume entire toxic organisms as a survival technique? Sort of. Ramona had finished the second crawler and was eyeing a third. It was more about mindset, you know. He grew up poor, really poor. He used to say that humans got soft when they forgot how to make use of everything, how to find food where others saw waste, how to survive when everything seemed impossible. She picked up the third crawler. He'd tell me stories about Earth's history, times when humans ate things that should have killed them and lived anyway. Times when they shouldn't have survived, but did it through sheer stubbornness and adaptation. She bit through the creature's midsection. He made it a game when I was little. Ramona, he'd say, bet you can't eat the crawfish head. And I'd do it just to prove I could. Then he'd laugh and ruffle my hair and tell me I was tough enough to survive anything. Carell's tentacles had gone still. This is not unusual for humans? Well, Ramona admitted, most humans probably wouldn't eat these particular guys. We've gotten pretty comfortable with processed food and safety regulations. But could we? Yeah, we could. That's kind of our thing, biological flexibility. We're not the strongest or the fastest, but we can eat almost anything, survive almost anywhere, and adapt to almost any condition if we're stubborn enough about it. She finished the third crawler and leaned back in her chair, patting her stomach with satisfaction. Grandpa died 5 years ago. Heart failure, ironically, made it through poverty, war, and eating God knows what, then his own biology turned on him. Her expression softened. But he taught me to be resilient, to remember what humans are capable of when we need to be. Zixthera looked at the remaining crawlers in the serving field, then at Ramona's completely calm demeanor, then at the growing crowd of observers who had gathered to witness this display of casual human terrifyingness. Your species, the Velkreen said carefully, continues to surprise us. Ramona smiled again, that warm human expression that somehow seemed more predatory now. Wait until you see what I do with dessert. Grandpa taught me a trick with bees, too. The observation deck remained very, very quiet as Ramona Chen reached for another cave crawler, humming an old Earth tune about crawfish pies and filet gumbo, completely unbothered by the fact that she'd just consumed enough neurotoxins to kill most beings aboard the ship 3 times over. Somewhere in the Louisiana bayou of Earth's past, an old man would have been very proud.